Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. She's the best-selling author of Convenience Store Woman, and this one is translated from the Japanese. And it originally came out in about 2020, so you should be able to find it pretty easily. I was originally sent this one by the publisher, but by PGC Books, so thank you to them for the ARC of this one. But I wanted to share it with you because it's one that's kind of stayed with me a little bit. So, yeah, I wasn't sure whether to label this one as an ARC. It's not a new release anymore. It is in my own private collection. So, this is the story of Natsuki. When Natsuki is a child, she believes that her toy hedgehog is an alien and wants her to save the planet using magic. When she tells her beloved cousin, he is a lifeline who understands her and tells her his secret. He's also an alien. We come to understand that this story helps them make sense of their abusive and alienating home life. When Natsuki grows up, she still clings to this story and draws her husband and cousin into this world she has created and escape from the pressures of life. Now, this is kind of the outline of the story. It's maybe a little bit too simple or benign an explanation of the plot. The story is Natsuki's, and I think you can really decide whether you want to believe her story is sort of literally real, that she does belong on another planet if you want to, or you could kind of see, that something is wrong if you want to read it that way, or maybe as, you can kind of see it two ways if you want to. It's a book that in a way is about its main character more than the plot. It's kind of a character study, but it's also got a really good plot. So, it's a short book, so I'm trying to be really careful to not reveal too much or spoil anything, because this is one of those ones where you just, if it sounds like you're going to like it, just read it, I will say this book has some dark subject matter. I found myself sometimes sort of laughing at the dark humor, sometimes cringing, but I always kept turning pages, wanting to see where it was all going. I really like Natsuki and I wanted to see her break free, I think, and kind of find herself. I also wanted to see, where this was heading, like what is going on? Where is this all going to end? This girl's trauma is constantly dismissed and there isn't a lot she can do. So, I was sort of thinking, where is this book taking us? And honestly, the ending, I mean, I don't have words. I couldn't see that coming. It's insane. Basically, it's quite the ending. This book has elements of incest, violence, sexual abuse, murder, child abuse. There's also some cannibalism in there for good measure too. It's a book where things happen, things develop, and they all make sense in the context of the people, of the events and the feelings of Natsuki's life. But they're also sort of not normalized in any way. She makes sense, but you're drawn into it, but that like this is not what somebody should do, if that makes sense. Natsuki's actions protect herself, but when those kinds of coping mechanisms are taken into adulthood, they harm other people. With her need to feel numb, to be out of her own body, she focuses on logic and fairy stories. There's no room for understanding emotions and bonds between people in her life. And when we don't have that empathy, we're dangerous to others. I really like this book. I think it's very odd and might not appeal to some people, but I really enjoyed it. I felt like Natsuki was well written and made a lot of sense in her responses to her life and the way she's treated. It's just sort of everything taken a step further and then several steps after that. She feels very real to me. I love the family home in the mountains. That's a major location in the book. It sounded really beautiful and a place of safety for Natsuki, a romanticized place. It's a short book, but has these long, easy, flowing chapters and takes us from very young to adult protagonists, the course of her life in that way. I also felt that the way Natsuki sees life or society as a factory and her and others' bodies as a commodity was like fairly insightful. It makes sense of the world around her and how it works. I did see someone say the book was kind of an allegory for life or society, or maybe a satire, and you could definitely read this book, read it that way, interpret it that way. Just in my own personal, the way I personally read it, I felt I read it as just a story, if that makes sense. But I'm sure there's a lot you could unpack if you were looking at it through that eye of it being an allegory. Grim just joined us. Hi, Mr. Jelly. Good boy. Such a good cat. I think the darkness and strangeness of this book means it's definitely not going to be for everyone. So, use your discretion. But I loved it. It was smart, different, shows an understanding of trauma, abuse, and social pressure, and understanding of character as a means to drive action and plot. I thought that was really well done. And while the darkness is what stands out in memory of reading it, it's also sort of funny and light too. It's oddly not heavy or emotional when you're reading it. So thank you to the publisher originally for sending me this book. And if you've read this book, I would love to hear what your takeaway from it was and what you thought. And if you've read any of the author's other books, let me know, because I haven't read any of her other books and I'm thinking maybe I should. But thank you for watching, and happy reading. You can check out some of my other videos. I also have another channel and socials, so you can find links below if you want more of that. And if you want to hang out again, remember to like and subscribe. And you can always leave a comment, let me know what you thought, or let me know what else you might want to see. Thank you.